Greetings again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with me. And I encourage you to not tire because this is all going to be worth it in the end, and you'll see. So, in the last video, I presented the evidence that every day in a period of 1,446,172 days can uniquely be identified by the values which three parameters take for that day, namely the date, the phase that the moon is in, and the time that the moon is in that phase. So these facts provoked a curiosity in me to wonder what the values were for those three parameters on the day that the moon, the sun, and the heavenly bodies were created. And that became of interest to me because I am aware that those values would repeat every 3,973 years. And so if I can be able to find another day in which the values for those three parameters are the same as they were on the day that the heavenly bodies were created, then that day would be a whole number multiple of 3,973 years since those heavenly bodies were created. And this is really how you use the natural timekeeping system to establish where you are in the continuum of time. And so in my quest to find what the values for those three parameters were, I came across a record in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It is referred to as fragment 1 of scroll number 4Q320. And in it there was a record of the observations made on a certain day, as well as which day that was. If you are not familiar with the Dead Sea Scrolls, I encourage you to read about them, as well as the community responsible for them, because there's a lot of information about them in the internet. There's no need for me to talk about it here. But the main thing that is that they were using a calendar that had a year that is 364 days in length. And so they report that on that particular day, whose observations they recorded, that was the fourth day in the week of the Sons of Gamul, and it was also the first of the month, or the months. And I think elsewhere in the same Dead Sea Scrolls, the same day is referred to as the first of the years. And the question is, and there's been a debate about that, like, what did they mean when they say it's the first of the years? And this is where my own postulate came in, because if they were using the same calendar or timekeeping system as I have described in these videos, then they, and I believe they were, they would have been aware that every 3,973 years begins a new cycle of years. And therefore, what they are referring to as the first of the years was really the first of the next cycle of 3,973 years. And if that is the case, then we would know that that day, the day that they are reporting, was the first day of the first month in the year 3,974. And the moon was evidently full on that day in the middle of the night. Means it rose when it's full and it shone throughout the night and set when it's full, basically meaning that it was full at or around midnight. And so to find which day that was, we would be looking for a day when the moon is full on the longitude of Jerusalem. And the way to do that is, and you can do it yourself, the way to do that is to go to the internet and look for the next time that the moon will be full at the longitude of Jerusalem. Then find out what time that will be at your location. When that day comes around, step out of your house or wherever you are and go and look at the sky and confirm that the moon is actually full as the internet predicted. The reason why you need to do that is because, in my experience, some of the sites which purport to tell you what the face of the moon will be are not very accurate. I personally used timeanddate.com for the calculations which I did, and I stepped out of the house and did confirm that the moon was full at exactly the time that they said it to be full, to the best that the eye can determine. So once you establish that you have the correct information about the time that the moon is full at your location, then move back a lunation at a time and see what time the moon is again full. And keep doing that until you find a time when the moon will be full at midnight on the longitude of Jerusalem. That would be the most recent time that the moon was full at the longitude of Jerusalem. When I did that, I found that the moon was full at the longitude of Jerusalem on September 6th, 1960. So that meant that every 51,649 days before then, the moon was again full at midnight at the same location. And so the only candidates for the day which the people in the Dead Sea Scrolls were referring to would be one of the 13 times when the moon was full at midnight before the turn of the era, because during the common era, the moon has been full at midnight at that longitude only 13 times. And so one of those days could be a candidate. And I believe the prime candidate would be the one that came immediately after the turn of the era from BCE to CE. And also the one before the turn of the era, like if you went backwards, the first instance in the BCE era. So the date which I found for that event in the CE era was May 9th, 122 AD. That was a Friday. And you know, by the people of the Bible begin their day in the evening. So the moon, which is attributed by the Gregorian calendar to May 9th, 122 AD, by the calendar of the Bible will be attributed to May 10th, 122 AD. And that would be, if my assumptions are correct, that would be the fourth day of the week. It was a Saturday, and it would be the first day of the first month in the 3974th year since the creation of the heavenly bodies. And you will understand later on why I say it is since the creation of the heavenly bodies and not since the first day of creation. So what the practical value of that for you is that using that information you can find the biblical date, the date on the Bible's calendar for any day subsequent to that. And there are tools on the internet which you can plug in numbers and actually obtain then the number of days to subtract, and you'll find out exactly what date that is. So this is going to be very important going forward. So for me, I would like just to let you know that I know with certainty that that date is the correct date and not the one before it. And in the next video, I'll explain how I come to know that. So I hope that this has been helpful and that you have enjoyed listening to this and will be present to watch the next video. Do have a good day. Bye.